Fit to Love, episode 21, Fix Your Mood with Food.
Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flizanes.
Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Wellness Wednesday. Today's show, Fix Your Mood with Food, and our guest expert is Heather Lounsbury. Heather is one of Los Angeles' best-known acupuncturists and author of Fix Your Mood with Food. She's also the powerhouse behind the Live Natural, Live Well brand, embracing a popular blog, YouTube videos, and a weekly radio show. She is passionate about spreading the message of holistic living and empowering her patients to heal themselves, and has attracted broad media attention from Psychology Today, Time, Fox News, Billboard Magazine, Vogue Germany, VegNews, Business Insider, Elite Traveler, and more. Heather, welcome.
Thanks for having me, JJ.
And tell us the exciting news about your new media that's coming.
It's called The Better Show. It's a nationally syndicated talk show that's based out of New York, and it airs next Tuesday morning. It's different in every city, so people will have to go to better.tv to find out where it's playing and when in their area.
Excellent. So let's talk about Fix Your Mood with Food. You know, first of all, it's a beautiful book, and thank you so much for signing it for me at your book launch. And I've been reading it, and I think it's amazing. I think the quality of the writing is great, and the information you give is great. And what I think is so interesting about the book is that, especially when I work with a lot of people who get referred to me through emotional eating routes, more psychology and mindset routes, that the idea of eating to fix your mood, it's almost the opposite. What you say in the book is different than what people are doing when we think about emotional eating. But what has been your experience? I mean, I know you talk about this in the book, but tell the listeners about, fixing your mood, just the general theme of fixing your mood with food.
Whenever we are feeling low, whether that's stressed or depressed, anxious, if we're a worry or overthinking or an overthinker, we can have some nutritional imbalances or lack of nutrients that are either causing the problem or exacerbating the problem. So this is an obvious one. If you eat sugar, you're going to have an emotional crash and an energy crash within a few hours of binging on Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And so to counteract that, I'm all for eating whole foods, plant-based foods, to boost your mood naturally and have a positive effect on your brain chemistry.
So, Heather, you're an acupuncturist by trade, and I know that acupuncturists study nutrition, but tell us, how did you decide to write this book in particular?
Well, my patients and their results inspired me to write the book. I've been treating patients for about 15 years now, and everyone gets better, whether it's 5% better or 100% better. And I can't tell you how many times patients have said to me, Heather, you've taught me things that no one else has said. You questioned medications. You had me get a blood test that no doctor had ever suggested before. And I thought, I need to get this information to a larger audience because I can only treat so many people in a day. And my journey into nutrition started in high school when I questioned the standard American diet, which I grew up on, and I did not feel well on it at all. So that started my curiosity and my learning. And then in graduate school, I did take some nutrition courses, and I've been taking, I don't know how many thousand hours of continuing education in nutrition since getting my license 13 years ago.
Great. And obviously Fix Your Mood with Food, as we've already heard by your example of sugar, is looking at your diet and how it affects your mood, correct?
Yes. And there's certain nutrients. I mean, having a whole foods diet and getting lots of variety in what you eat is important, but there are a few nutrients that I focus on in the book to emphasize. I talk about iron, getting healthy fats into your diet, because most Americans and Westerners in general are eating a lot of the bad fats that clog our arteries and actually affect our mood. And I talk about B vitamins, and their effect on our hormones and our brain chemistry. Getting those nutrients in are key to being happier and healthier.
Can you give the listeners an example of a situation, an anonymous patient whose biggest transformation came from dietary changes, which they had no idea, one of those, aha moments of like, I had no idea this would affect me like this?
Well, I talk about one of my patients who came to me initially for panic attacks, and she was having severe panic attacks up to several times a week before coming into me. And this was going on for, I think, about 2 years before she found me. And she was hospitalized several times. She was on Xanax, which was doing absolutely nothing for her. I was giving her acupuncture as well, and that does calm the mind quite a bit. But we started working on her diet after a few weeks once she started to feel better. And we saw the correlation between her eating white bread, her eating microwaved foods and fast foods, and drinking soda, not getting enough water, had a huge impact on her anxiety levels. And I think actually a big portion of her anxiety came from not just the emotional component, but came from her eating nothing real, nothing that was right from the ground. And within a month, she wasn't having any panic attacks at all. And she eventually went off all medications and it's been over 10 years now. We've kept in touch. She hasn't had one bout of a panic attack or anxiety attack at all since I started treating her. So that's pretty amazing.
Well, I would think when people think of acupuncture and Chinese medicine and traditional Chinese medicine, I don't think they think emotional, right? And I've been a patient of Chinese medicine long enough that I totally understand that, as well as the correlation between our organs and our emotions. Can you talk a little bit, because I know you mentioned that at the beginning of the book, to sort of make that link between diagnosing in Chinese medicine and how traditional Chinese medicine looked at the body from a holistic point of view, and then how energy gets stuck and chronic emotions that don't get processed can create illness and disease. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. And I like that you point out that a lot of people don't know Chinese medicine for its effect on our emotions, but actually traditionally that's what it was used for. The translation of every single point has an emotional, spiritual name to it. So it's actually based in our emotions. And Chinese theory states that when you don't process a specific emotion or you have an overabundance of it, say you've just lost your spouse or a child, and that overwhelming sense of grief can start to affect you physically. And a few examples would be if you have a lot of stress or repressed anger, that can lead to PMS symptoms, that can lead to issues with your eyes, such as cataracts or glaucoma. It can lead to having ringing in the ears, a low-pitched ringing in the ears. That's just a couple examples. If you are dealing with grief that either is overwhelming in the moment or you've lost a loved one and years later you still haven't really dealt with it at all, obviously that pain can linger. You're going to miss someone that you love, no matter how long it's been, but there should be some level of easing and abatement to that grief. So if you haven't processed that, you can have issues with your skin, such as getting rashes easily or eczema. You can get frequent colds and shortness of breath. So those are just a few examples with grief. And if you're a worrier, overthinker, or a student or an author, because I definitely did this when I was studying for my licensing exam and while I was writing the book. I was using my brain way too much and thinking constantly. It can manifest as bruising easily. It can manifest as having digestive issues, whether your metabolism slows down or you're having issues with your bowel movements. It can also cause thyroid issues and food allergies. So that's just a handful of examples of if you don't process those emotions, it can lead to physical issues. And I go into great detail in the book about that. And the beauty of the Chinese perspective on nutrition is that you can help at least ease those symptoms and those emotions through the right foods.
So from what I've learned from you, as well as other acupuncturists that I've worked with over the years, about each of the organs and what emotion it represents in the body, every time I have someone who I've heard has bronchitis, I usually ask if there's been a death in the family, and 9 times out of 10 it's yes.
Yes.
Since grief is stored in the lungs. So now dealing with the food part of this, now I know are you vegan now? Or
yes, I became vegetarian in 1985 and wanted to be vegan for most of that time, but I was so addicted to dairy that it took me until 5 years ago to give up cheese and dairy ice cream. So, yes.
Okay. Now, is the book written just for vegans or vegetarians?
Oh, not at all. And I actually don't say vegan in the book except for one sentence where I talk about wine. But otherwise, I just give plant foods as examples. So anyone can pick it up. And if they wanted to add animal products to my suggestions, obviously that's up to them. But I think that I made, and you can probably tell me, I did my best effort to not be preachy or push the quote-unquote vegan agenda on my readers. And I did that so people outside of Southern California would be open to reading the book and get something out of it, because I know it's still considered, even though more and more people are doing it, it's considered very weird and like, oh my God, what's wrong with her that she doesn't eat cheese or enjoy a fish taco? So...
Well, I haven't gotten to the recommendation part yet. I just flipped through some of the dietary recommendations, and of course I didn't see any meat in it. And knowing that you don't eat meat and you haven't for a long time, just wanted to make sure that people who, not that I would think you would necessarily be preaching in it, but obviously if someone wants to include their animal products, because I eat meat. I don't eat dairy. I'm not a vegan, but I don't eat dairy, but I do eat meat, but I also don't eat grains. So I think when it focuses on vegetables, which I know that you do a lot in the book, I think that can be helpful for anyone. I just wanted to make sure that we covered that in this audio in case someone picks it up and thinks, without flipping through it, because I think it's easy to do, you automatically assume. And you mentioned in the front of the book when you're telling your story about being vegetarian. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that keep reading, because it's going to, you can still apply that even if you eat animal products in whatever form, dairy or meat.
And I'll say to my patients, because 95% of my patients are omnivores, they'll eat anything, but I get them to eat more fruits and vegetables, and that's my goal. Obviously, I know that not everyone's going to give up meat or dairy. That's just not realistic. But to eat more fruits and vegetables is my goal with everyone. And I can say that I have one friend, not a close friend, but a friend of mine who's vegan. She's referred, I think, 5 people to me who aren't vegan, and she didn't tell them that I was, and they had no idea. Like, they came back and called her after with feedback, and none of them said, oh, your vegan friend, da 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 da. They just loved the information I had to give and had no idea that it didn't even sink in that I was only giving them plant foods to eat.
So would it be okay if we went through a few of the common emotions and you gave just a few pointers to people who are listening about what they could do right now to shift out of some of those? Obviously, you're not diagnosing them. This is a general recommendation, and you would get much more out of this if you called Heather directly and got personal recommendations. But for the sake of the show, would it be okay if we went through some of the more commonly experienced emotions and how people can change up their diet? Just 1 or 2 little points today?
Yeah, of course. I don't mind doing that at all. It's a nice way for people to see that the recommendations I give are realistic and anyone can do them.
Okay, so let's start with how to eat to reduce stress and anxiety.
Okay. Well, in Chinese medicine, stress is separate from anxiety. Anxiety affects the kidneys and your adrenal glands in Chinese medicine, and stress affects the liver. So we'll start with anxiety, and I'll give, let's say, 5 or 6 examples for reducing anxiety. Walnuts, string beans, asparagus, black beans, grapes, and quinoa.
So on those grapes, is it all grapes?
Red, but the green grapes will work as well.
And is it specifically like raw walnuts, or can they be roasted?
They can be roasted. With nuts, I prefer raw, but not everyone likes the taste, and also not everyone has access to getting raw nuts and seeds.
So those were for anxiety, correct?
Yes. And then stress, anger and stress are put together as one category. And depression actually goes under the anger stress section too, because in Chinese medicine and now Western psychology is catching up with saying depression is actually anger that's been stuffed inward so much that it leads to depression.
I would agree with that 100%.
Lima beans, celery, cauliflower, broccoli, and cucumber, ginger. For anyone who loves Brussels sprouts, I know that takes an acquired taste, I think, but Brussels sprouts, which I love, are great for stress, and alfalfa sprouts.
Great. I think I want to do 2 more emotions. I'd like to do sadness. Although sadness is depression, right?
Sadness is more from heartache.
So sadness first and grief. Great. Okay. So let's do sadness first.
Okay. Well, sadness in Chinese medicine is also related to heartache. So it can be heartache from losing someone physically, from them passing, but it's more heartache from a breakup. It can be a friendship or a romantic relationship. Corn, green beans, pears, garbanzo beans, so anyone who likes hummus, and shiitake mushrooms, pomegranate, and bell pepper.
Okay. Corn, green beans. Green beans was also on anxiety too.
Yes.
No, string beans were there.
Overlap.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go over some ways to add different foods to help relieve your grief. But first, before we do that, we need to take a moment to thank our sponsors.
Do you want to look and feel years younger? Learn more about your hormone health and how to get properly tested. Sign up for the Healthy Hormone Kit at nourishingwellness.com. It features the essential tests you need to tell your doctor to order for you to learn more about your current levels. Plus, you'll receive lots of healthy eating and lifestyle tips to improve your hormone health naturally. Again, that's www.nourishingwellness.com. Is your website working for you? If it's not, and you're frustrated with your brand, website, or current online results, Every Angle Media can help transform your existing business presence and build you a website that works when you're not working. Every Angle Media is a full-service web development firm that specializes in solving problems with open-source solutions. We offer complete design services, custom content management systems, fully integrated e-commerce solutions, cross-platform mobile development, and custom third-party integration, and we're here to help. Visit our site to see our work at everyanglemedia.com or give us a call at 310-798-7228. Again, that's everyanglemedia.com.
Okay, Heather, so let's tell us some of the foods we can start to eat to help with relieving grief.
Okay. Turnips, flax seeds, and yams, butternut squash, almonds, carrots, and kale, which is all the rage these days.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
Yes. It's that love-hate relationship. Everyone thinks, kale, oh, I'm supposed to eat so much of it, and what do I do with it? Well, we're going to be dealing with that on the show. I'm going to make homemade kale chips on Tasty Tuesdays as well as other fun things, so make sure to tune in and subscribe to the channel. Okay, are we missing any major emotions? I mean, I'm sure I know there's more, but...
Well, worry and overthinking.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, worry and overthinking includes obsessive compulsive disorder, and anyone who has a hard time turning off their brain when they're going to sleep at night. Millet, spinach, mangoes, pumpkin seeds, and again, garbanzo beans with the hummus, and parsnips, eggplant, and apples.
All right, this all begs the question of what's the theme amongst the list? Is there properties, biochemical properties in the foods that are similar in each one of these foods? Like, what's the similar property between millet and spinach? Or is it, tell us what makes up this list? How do you get this list?
Well, the list is a combination of Western nutrition. So I look at the nutrient content in the foods, but it's mostly, the list I gave you today is based on Chinese nutrition, which looks at food energetically. And what I mean by that is that each food goes to a particular organ or organs. And as we talked about briefly before, each organ has an emotion attached to it. And each food has either the property of moving or energizing you or calming you down. So it can nourish qi, yin and yang. Those words that most people have heard now, they might not know what they mean, but it's basically your body's energy, your body's female side, so the more cooling, calming female side, or yang, which is the more energizing masculine side. And with some of the foods, you'd be surprised, something like black beans, which I did mention under anxiety, are high in tryptophan, which is a natural sedative. So anyone who knows that passing out feeling that you get after Thanksgiving turkey, it's not just from being gluttonous, it's from the tryptophan levels in there. And it's also high, black beans are also high in your B1 vitamins, which help with brain function and balance hormones, just to give one example.
Right. No, I could tell this wasn't just Western nutrition, obviously, by the different colors and the different properties that each one of these foods in each list has. I wanted to know from a Chinese medicine perspective how they were chosen. So great. So thank you for that. So at this point, Heather, if someone's listening, and obviously, where can they get the book, first off?
Well, they can go to Amazon.com. They can go to BarnesandNoble.com. Several Barnes & Noble actual stores carry the book, but if they don't have it, they can always order it for you. And any mom and pop bookstore can order it if they're not carrying it. There's some links on my website, which is livenaturallivewell.com. So when you go to any page on my website, it pops up how you can buy the book. So there's several options. It's available as an ebook as well for those of you who would prefer having it on your electronic device. So that's an option too.
And if someone's listening and they don't live in Los Angeles, could they work with you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm available to talk either over the phone or via Skype. I have patients all over the country.
Great. And if you are in Los Angeles, how can people get a hold of you?
My office number is 310-259-5165. And my email is info@livenaturallivewell.com.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure, and I'm going to have you back. I'm looking forward to talking with you more about the best ways to improve your energy level from your Chinese medicine and fix your mood with food perspective. So everyone tune in, subscribe to the channel so you can catch Heather's next show that we're going to do. Heather, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, JJ. Take care.
Looking for an engaging and inspiring speaker? Does your group need a good jolt of positive thinking? Look no further than JJ Flizanes. Visit her site to check out her most requested topics and video examples. jjflizanes.com. That's jjflizanes.com.
Get the hottest tips and latest trends for your business success with today's Innovative Woman magazine, a free print and online digital magazine. Claim your free subscription and get it mailed to your home or office today at today'sinnovativewoman.com. The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly videocasts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.tv. Have a fit and fabulous day.